Hey everybody out there, my name is Tommy and this is my channel, Counting on the Big Sleep. And this is vlog or blog or whatever you want to call it, I believe number 15. So, as we were discussing earlier, I applied for 3 jobs, had 3 interviews. First job didn't turn out very well. I explained that in the last video. Second job, my background check has come back, but I'm still waiting for my drug test. And today's Friday, and I texted him today, asking him, if they got the results back yet, and he said no, they're still waiting. He apologized, for taking so long. And I was like, oh, all right. So hopefully very soon, I will go back to work and be able to catch up on the bills and, pay my rent and everything, and get back to, doing what I was doing. But I have applied for a few other jobs too while I'm waiting, so whoever calls first and says, hey, need a job, I'm right there. But yeah, I'm just waiting on the results for the drug test. Should be clear. I haven't done anything in a long time, so and it's not like I was a big drug user anyway, so it's no big deal. I haven't drank alcohol in years. Smoked weed. I don't know. It's been quite a while. I can't remember the last time I did that. But yeah, just waiting to see. Waiting to hear from them to say, hey, yeah, tests are all good. Get started. So, soon, very soon. I hope. It is a hot day today. It's hot out here. It's only it feels like in the 90s, but they say it's like about 85, but it feels hot. Had to go to the store and pick up some supplies, some flavored water, some garbage bags. I figured I might spend the day cleaning up the apartment a little bit more, trying to keep myself busy. Made some shorts that I threw on this channel, just for shits and giggles. Just something to do. I don't know how people do it, the gig work and stuff. I mean, I see people all the time on YouTube. They make money off of YouTube, but they're also doing like their gig work, like Uber and Lyft and the DoorDash stuff. But in reality, I mean, these people are working a lot harder and a lot longer than a 9-to-5 job. I watched this one man's video, Daddy O. Good guy, nice guy. He does Uber and he also puts on YouTube, videos, talks about stuff. But he works like 7 days a week, and he starts at 5 o'clock in the morning, and he doesn't get done until around 10 o'clock at night. And I'm thinking, well, hell, man. I would rather work a 9-to-5 job. Even if I dislike my job, I would rather do that than have to spend 10 hours a day, 10 to 12 hours a day, every day, driving for Uber. That's, to me, I don't understand that. But I understand what he's doing because he's a much older gentleman and he's in his 70s. It's a shame that in your 70s that, you still have to keep working, when you should be able to retire at least 60. At least 60. They should pay you all that money you've been putting in. I've been putting in money in Social Security since, I started working when I was 15. And, I'll never live to see all that money. I'll never live long enough to see that money come back, So now they're trying to raise the age of retirement again, so what they're hoping is, mostly older people will die off before they can, collect their Social Security because the government doesn't want to give it back to you. Not that the government probably doesn't even really have it anymore. There's trillions of dollars in debt, But, yeah, I would rather just work a 9-to-5 then have to do all that gig work, you know, drive for Uber. You know, you're picking up strangers. You're working 10, 12 hours a day. Oh, man. You know, just drive around picking people up, trying to make $1 here and there. It's a shame that, you know, the older generation, you know, they got to keep working and stuff to keep the roof over their heads and stuff. You know, just like property taxes. Once you buy your house and pay it off, you shouldn't have to pay property tax. You know, that's another way the government can come in and take your home and stuff. But, someone's pulling in, neighbors pulling in. I could hear him last night, you know. Sounded like he's, you know, sounds like someone's fucking a raccoon or something up there. You know, that squealing and that hissing type noise. Whatever the fuck they were doing, I have no idea. You know? But today's, you know, another day. It's Friday. Can't remember what the date is. Maybe it's the 14th. Oh, maybe it's the 15th, I think. Yeah, 15th. Maybe it's the 15th. I'm not sure. You know, I went to the plasma center yesterday and made a few dollars there, so I could, you know, make sure I put gas and food on the table. You know, but I wanted to come on and give you an update about the job situation. You know, I'm still waiting for the stupid drug test to come through for them to say yes, you're all good. You know, told them that, you know, hey man, I can start right away, which I need to start right away. I need to start, you know, get my shit back together and stuff. Oh, but yeah, maybe I'll spend the day cleaning up the house a little bit more, do some dishes. You know, not that there's a big mess or anything. And work on some videos, I guess. See if I can't find a way to keep myself entertained or, you know, my mind from, you know, getting depressed or anything. But, yeah, just come on, see how everyone's doing. Another good day. Another good day to be alive, at least. Nice and sunny out. You know. But, yeah, I don't know. How's everyone else out there? How are you guys doing? You know, I know I'm not the only one alone in this world. You know, I'm not the only one that's been out of work and who's struggling. There's lots of people that are struggling. You know, we're all out here. Seems like there's getting to be two classes of people. You got the mega rich, and then you got the rich, and then you got the working poor, and then you got the real poor. You know, the middle class seems to be gone. You know, it's such a changing world. It's fucking sunny and bright out here today, you know. But I'm not whining, I'm not crying about anything. I'm just telling you life stories. That's all. You know, had a weirdest dream the other day. It was like a nightmare. You know, I dreamed I was driving my car and it broke down and some people got pulled over, asked me if I needed a ride and stuff, and I said, yeah, sure. So I got into the car and the car was full of people. And they all had like these nylon masks on. You know, nylon masks with faces of other people on it. You know, and then the next thing, part of the dream, I was laying in bed with all these people. I wasn't doing anything, there was no sexual thing, we were just trying to sleep. And then I remember waking up in the morning, and I was there, and there was another lady in bed there. And I told her, I asked her, I said, you know, can you guys give me a ride back to my car? And they said, no, we're not going that way. Or she said, no, we're not going that way. But then she hands me this note wrapped in her driver's license and tells me to tell her family that she's okay. And I'm like, yeah, okay. And she's crying, too. And at the time, I'm not, you know, at the time in the dream, I'm not feeling any emotion or anything about her crying. I'm not feeling bad. I'm just like, yeah, sure, no problem. So I start walking towards the door, and then all of a sudden, a door in the back hallway opens up, and there's this man, and he's buck naked, but he's odd looking, and he's shaped like a bowling pin. He's like, he got a real small head and a real wide body, and butt naked, and he's wearing this nylon mask with another face over it. This nylon mask that has his face imprinted on it. And I start yelling at him, saying, "What the fuck is this shit? What the fuck? What are you doing?" And he runs to the back there, and then I run after him, and I walk into this room, and he's hiding behind the curtains. I can tell he's hiding behind the curtains, but as I look in the room, I see it's filled with chairs, and all these people are just sitting there, and they're just staring. And at that moment in the dream, that's when I got really scared. And I was like, oh my God. And then I remember running for the door, trying to get out of there. I managed to open the door, but when I got out, it was like I was way high up in this building. And it was a long hallway, on the outside, but it was surrounded by this chain link fence. So I remember, so I'm trying to get out, and it had a gate there, so I'm trying to get out of the gate, and the gate is just budging little by little, and I could hear these people coming towards me. And then I realized, I could see through the gate and stuff, because it's, it's a metal fence. And I look down, and I'm way up in the sky. And there's a stairwell, right down below it, but it's a far drop. So I started climbing the fence, and as I jumped off, that's when I woke up. Woke up with my heart pounding out of my chest, thinking to myself, what the fuck? That's the craziest fucking dream or nightmare I've ever had. I have no idea where that came from or what that meant or anything. It was just so weird, especially freaky at the end when I see this oddly shaped naked man wearing a mask. And it wasn't even, it was like one of them nylon masks that had the face imprinted on it. And I couldn't tell whose face that was or anything. But at that moment in time, it's like, you're like, wow, that's really weird. And to be brave enough in your dreams to go run after somebody to try and figure things out, only to realize to walk into a room surrounded by other people who are sitting there just staring blankly. And this guy hiding behind the curtains. Because you could tell he was hiding behind the curtains, because when I went in there, the curtain moved and it opened up, and you could see there was a window, but you could tell there was somebody standing behind it. But they didn't say anything. They all just kind of stared blankly. And then at that moment, I realized that really got scared. I was like, holy crap, something's not right here. And then, at the end they're running to get away, trying to get over a fence, only to realize that, the jump would be, it was high up and the stairwell was way far down. I knew there was a good chance. In my head, I knew there was a good chance if this was real, that I would wind up breaking my legs or killing myself. But I figured, what's the alternative? Face all these people that are coming after you, or jump. So, and that's what, like I said, that's when I woke up and realized, what the fuck kind of dream is that? So, yeah, that was a nightmare I had the other day. Don't know what it meant, or why it was the way it was. But that's my story for today. That's a dream I had. How my day's been going so far, about the jobs and everything. Still waiting for the drug test to come back. you know. Just playing this waiting game. Hopefully very soon. Hopefully very soon. I was hoping he'd call me today and, you know, say, hey, start working tonight, but, you know, like I said, I texted him and he's still waiting for the drug test, you know, results, you know. And then to have that wild, weird dream like that, you know. Actually, I didn't understand what it meant. You know, I mean, you know, I always kind of try and look for some kind of meaning in your dreams. You know, what it meant. You know, but you know, I have no idea. All right, everybody. Like I said, it's Friday. Vlog number, I think, 15. You know, still waiting for the job. Still waiting for my drug test to come back. Like I said, it should come back clear. Should be fine. And just can't wait to get back to work. Catch up on the bills and keep the roof over my head. You know? But I just wanted to share all that with you. You know, I'm not on here begging for money or putting up a Cash App card or anything like that. I'm just telling you some, you know, life stories. That's all. You know, just talking. My own little therapy session. You know, to anybody who wants to listen out there. Alright, everybody. You have a great day. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.